Content warnings for this episode include experiences with transphobia, family issues, experiences with being bullied, and mention of pet death. Welcome to GenderMeowster Podcast Network. Genderful is a talk show featuring non-binary and trans folks discussing various topics and special interests. We kindly remind our listeners that no person is a monolith of identities. All opinions are the speaker's own. This show airs live on Twitch at twitch.tv/GenderMeowster, and VODs with show notes can also be found on YouTube. All right, so hi everyone, I'm GenderMeowster. I use they, them pronouns, and I will let my guest introduce himself.
Hello. I am AwesomeChipz, or you could also call me Travis. I use he, him pronouns. And yeah, I'll be guesting on the show today.
I'm so glad that you're here. Welcome in.
Hey.
Oh, this is so fun. So Chips, you're here on the show to talk about a lot of things. Our topic for the day is character design and gender and gender identity, gender presentation, all those sorts of things. But to start out with, I just want to talk about gender to begin. And
understandable.
Yeah, I wonder if you could tell us about what are some things that you trace back to your youth that indicated you might be trans one day? Like, how did it all begin?
Oh. It is a long story, but like early on, especially around like, the era of puberty. Oh, I think my face is glitching. Sorry. Uh, but yes, early like puberty, early like that kind of area, I kind of realized something was off. At the time I was told the usual things like, "Oh, everyone feels that way. You'll get used to it." All that fun stuff, but it's like over time it kind of became something more like trying to find specific words. I felt different from the others around me, and for a long time, I didn't have words for that. I just felt different. I'm not sure when discovered the term gender non-conforming, but around that time I did start to present differently. Like, when I was younger, my whole, when I was younger, I didn't mind presenting more feminine because that wasn't like I had no idea what gender identity was, and whatever was my identity back then was determined by my parents and what my parents thought I was, kind of thing. But, puberty happened. I kind of discovered other things, and I think the big moment where my egg cracked was around I was 16 and I had just met the first out trans person I knew in real life, which was very interesting. And I think that's when like all the whole like puberty, all the like experimenting with identity through like my early characters kind of like all kind of hit me like, okay, yeah, I'm not just this like gender non-conforming masculine uh female identifying person. I'm masculine, I'm male, I'm a man is not wrong. I do like the term man as well, even though I consider myself male flux or just trans masculine most of the time. But yeah, I'm definitely on that spectrum rather than simply the gender non-conforming aspect.
Mm-hmm. So, Chips, how has your relationship to gender evolved over time? Like, you started somewhere and then you went somewhere else.
Oh, I first started off with like when I was younger, I kind of like just thought I found the term like trans man, and I was like, maybe that's what it was, but I was 13, puberty, and I was very concerned of what my parents thought about me. So it was like, okay, I can't do that because my parents wouldn't like me. So maybe I'm just like this. I think that's the term I found back then was demigirl,
Mm-hmm.
which obviously later on did not fit me super well. And then just kind of, I discovered more over time. I kind of had to kind of trying to get like a visual going on here. Like I had to my gender was like under a rock and I had to kind of take a pickaxe to it over time before I figured out really something that felt right.
You excavated your gender.
Basically,
I love that. That's so awesome.
gender excavation.
Instead of egg cracking, it's like geodes from Stardew, and you're like, where's my gender?
Yes.
It must be a level 120. Gosh darn it.
Basically though.
That's so awesome.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. Oh my gosh. Um, so, can you tell us? So, you're into character design, and there is this, I think, an interesting tangling, or um, I don't know what the word is. Whatever this shape is I'm making with my hands where my fingers are laced together. It's like there's like a togetherness about exploring gender and character design. And so I would love to hear just like how did you start? How did you start getting into character design? How old were you? Tell us maybe about your first character or characters, etc.
There's a lot to talk about there. But
Mm-hmm.
also, yeah, it's very like interwoven because a lot of, especially my early character designs when I was a child, was very fan characters and fan characters that were mostly based off myself. Like, what if I was in The Lion King? Stuff like that. Sadly, I don't remember a lot of those very early characters because I didn't really write them down. They were just kind of in my head. I kind of told the story to myself, like, as it kind of went on, kind of thing. My first experience, though, with actually drawing and writing stuff for characters was when I got into My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. And my first character was a lavender Pegasus with a green mane, who eventually became a pink unicorn with a green mane. It's a long story, but yeah, because I ended up liking. Originally, the character Storm Tumbler was a gender non-conforming, at least baby's first gender non-conforming character. This kind of feminine character with short hair. She was basically Rainbow Dash, but with shorter hair. Uh,
Nice.
fun side topic. I a lot of the with my in my personal experience with masculine identifying people around my age, a lot of us for some reason really wanted to be Rainbow Dash. It's kind of unifying experience with that. I thought that was kind of neat. So
So
eventually I decided. Oh, sorry.
no, you go ahead. I was just gonna let you know I have the character on screen if you want to tell us about their
Oh,
what is that, a cutie mark? Is that what that's called?
yes, that is a cutie mark. That is what the figures the figure skates kind of look like in that universe. You see that in the winter wrap up episode, the one with that
Mm-hmm.
song that was everywhere for a while. Anyway, but yeah, his talent is figure skating. He is a basically the reason where Beaming Iris here came from was the character Storm Tumbler, but since there was already a character like Storm Tumbler within the media, I decided to kind of go, baby's first gender non-conforming kind of male character has this semi long mane style and has a not typically masculine appearance kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's very a lot of like I've been saying, baby's first gender nonconforming character. Uh,
I love that.
thank you. He I had other
Um,
characters as well that also kind of followed a similar theme with the kind of gender nonconforming kind of characters. I guess back then it was like I wanted to make characters that I didn't see within the media itself. And that's where a lot of my like first kind of drawing and writing for characters kind of came from. But yeah,
so after this character, you came up with another bean. So I wonder, could you tell
yeah.
us how have your character design skills developed over time?
Well, they've changed a lot with my ability to draw and kind of have this idea in my head and be able to kind of create that with what I'm doing kind of thing.
Hmm.
Like, with this character here, Gage, I do have some very early design and drawing stuff. Alright. I was just talking about, Gage and kind of having early, designs for
There we
him
go.
that were a bit different. Okay. Very nice. Yes, that was one of my first few drawings of the original design for Gage. Gage, is very special in that kind of way since he's me. He's kind of changed along with me in my own presentation because kind of like Storm Tumbler, Gage was originally this kind of gender non-conforming, uh, like feminine presenting character, but then over time became more masculine presenting. It's partly because I ended up making Gage my mascot, so he kind of changed along with me, kind of thing.
Yeah. Here's a second one of the early pieces of art. If you want to describe what these look like to folks who are listening to the podcast later, that might be cool too.
Understandable. Yes, yes. The first one there was a more angry kind of cat look because I was very obsessed with those kind of like uh the like school mascot kind of designs where they make the like lion or panther kind of creature just kind of like roaring at you. I thought that was really cool back then. And this one here is a more cat-like design, but with the kind of beta features for uh what you see today present as well. There's the scales on the arms and legs. There's the scales on the tail. You don't see them on the back, but they were there. There were more complex features to the colors, but some of them have been kept, some of them haven't. And I think the big difference is the color of like the chest fur and the color of the horns on the side of his face.
Hmm. Yeah, some of the things that I notice is like the right sort of upper lip muzzle still has that sort of golden yellow color to it, which I think is cool that that's carried through. Would you call this a
Oh
calico
yeah.
pattern?
Yeah, I've called it kind of a he was based on this is gonna get into the kind of the pet death warning stuff, just letting you know. But he was based off of the cat I had growing up who was a we called her a tortoiseshell calico. Her name was Spangles. She was there from like around when I was born, like 1 or 2 to around when I was 13, 14.
Hmm.
And losing her was very rough on me.
Yeah.
Uh,
It
one of
was
that was one of the first
your
few,
first
like
pet, right?
yeah, first pet and first real experience with, like, a long-term kind of pet that, passed away eventually.
Hmm.
And, uh, in one of my first big experiences with losing someone I loved, it was very, very difficult for me back then.
Hmm.
And one thing I'd kind of noticed was when I was sad, I kind of wanted to work on something. So this is around when I was kind of still with like MLP kind of fandom and kind of looking around into that kind of thing.
What does
I
MLP
saw a
stand for?
video. Oh, My Little Pony.
Okay, thank you.
You're good. You're good. It's good. Uh, yes, back when I was still doing that kind of stuff, I found a video talking about bronies and their relationship to and with kind of furries, that kind of thing.
Hmm.
People who like anthropomorphic animal characters.
Yeah.
So I eventually kind of found my way into that fandom, found some kind of like connection with like because I already really liked a lot of media with these kind of humanoid animals and like Animal Crossing, um, Pokemon, especially the Mystery Dungeon games. And eventually through that, I'm going back to Gage here. I found a video talking about you can make your character like whatever you want. Your persona can be anything. You could be like a sea slug and a giant mecha, or like hybrids of all the animals you like. So eventually that kind of came to like this idea of, oh, I wanted to make my character based on Spangles. And at the time I also was really into dinosaurs. I still am, but even more so back then. Uh, and also since dinosaurs don't really have like a set color pattern, I wanted the dinosaur features to be like iguana colored. So that's kind of where the original like idea came from with
That's really cool.
Gage and yeah, thank you.
I think, yeah, the anthropomorphic animal or furry community is, it's really, it's an interesting community. Um,
Oh, definitely.
I think it has a lot of positives and a lot of, um, I don't know, drawbacks or things that are concerning. It's a pile, right?
Yeah.
It's a community, and community is complex.
Oh, yeah. And especially for a fandom, it is massive. It
Hmm.
is this kind of all kind of there's so many people involved with it and because and with furries being mostly like by fans for fans, it's hard to keep track of everything. Like unlike being a part of let's say the My Little Pony fandom, the bronies, all that fun stuff.
Hmm.
You had kind of a show that you connected with people over.
Right.
And there was kind of you all kind of connected to the show. With furries, it's all like anthropomorphic media and also people who create fans of anthropomorphic media creating more anthropomorphic media.
So, um, I would love for you to tell us about, um, the this wonderful reference sheet that you've made for Gage, because Gage has sort of evolved over time. So Gage is
Oh,
a
yes.
combination of a cat and an ankylosaurus, right?
Yep, he is
How did
mostly
you
a
come up with
cat
the
with a.
how'd you come
Oh,
up with the
that was a.
ankylosaurus part?
Yeah, that was actually the original design I used for Gage as well, but it was harder to tell because I didn't have the skills to put more Ankylosaurus features into the original design. Yes, the hammer butt dino. Yeah. Later on, I kind of found more of a way to make the tail both visually more bulky and have the Ankylosaurus kind of. I don't want to call them knobs, but like they're not really horns either. The kind of bone scale bits at the end of the tail as well that you know, Ankylosaurus, the spiky bits. Yeah, that's a good way to put them. So that became more present later on, and with the way I also place scales on the back, and obviously with my experience with my gender, he became more transmasculine as well. While the originals were not originally, but you know, I do acknowledge a lot that Gage specifically. I know some people make their Sona like a very literal interpretation of them. Gage is more kind of, I don't want to use the term superficial, but he's very like what I wish I was. More kind of this kind of like bigger build, kind of bigger like more immediately masculine red kind of character that I am not in real life.
So that actually leads nicely into the next question I have, um, which is, how do you think your experience with gender has influenced your work? And how are your characters an expression of yourself in regards to gender presentation and identity?
Right, right. Apologize. I had a bit of a brain fart there. Uh, but yeah, my experience with gender and yes, yes. Most of the characters I have made are usually some kind of expression of myself. So they end up being kind of now the more recent ones have been more masculine, have been more I don't know why my brain is being weird right now. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Do you need a drink of water?
Oh, I should do that. I have water here.
Yeah. Self care is community care. Hooray. Maybe I can ask you
Self-care is very
a
important.
simpler version of the question. I can simplify it.
Maybe that would help.
Um, so does having Gage, this VTuber avatar. So for those listening to the podcast who can't see you, you've got your VTuber avatar on stream as your persona that's talking to us. You even made a couple of different outfits for your VTuber, which
Oh
is
yeah,
so fun. Do you
I
want to show
did.
off your outfits?
That's
Yes.
the yes, that one, and then the one with armor.
So fun. So you've got
Yeah.
your cowboy looking one and your armored one. Where did you
Yep.
get the armor from? Like,
Oh,
where's
the
the concept from the
armor.
armor? What's it inspired by?
Oh, a lot of things. The first big like inspiration for it was more like, oh, what's that one armor in Skyrim that's like it's draconic, but it's not called draconic? Oh, I don't remember the name. It's like one of the more well-known ones. It's like red and spiky. I think it's like the overall color is black, but then like kind of
We
I
have
don't
guesses in the
remember.
chat of obsidian or glass or Dedrick.
Oh, I think it's Dedrick.
Uh huh.
Dedrick sounds right. But yeah,
Yeah,
thank
the
you.
armor is so cool. Everyone's grooving on the armor. So to describe
Yeah.
it for folks, it's sort of this golden armor. It looks plate maily and it's got chainmail underneath with some purple kind of highlighted bits, like a dark purple. And there's like a paw print on the chest plate and on the head piece. It's so cool.
Well, they're originally meant to be red, but the
Oh,
purple ended up kind of coming through with the background.
oh my goodness. Okay, gotcha. Maybe it's probably the magenta um, filter that I have
Yeah.
on so that we can see you with a transparent background.
Ah, well, but yeah, it is, well, you can show the reactive image version.
You're right. Let me do that.
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah, cool, cool.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
these
there we
are the
go.
original colors, which are
Nice.
red, gold, a lot of those kind of colors.
Mm-hmm.
Since this is, mostly based on the, character, The version of Gage I made for a tabletop RPG setting. My friends, where I brought in this version of Gage was more of like a D&D setting with a lot of homebrew. Yeah. So, this is more of like a, and yee, thank you. Appreciate you like the armor. Yee. It
It's
also
very
kind of adds on to the kind of making the frame of this character even bigger so I can feel more, even more massive.
yeah. I mean, you could work out, or you
Yeah.
could have super rad armor.
Yeah. Hey.
So fun.
Very fun. I'm gonna switch back
So
to normal.
so yeah, so if you use do you find that designing these characters with sort of your, I don't know, ideal body shape or ideal gender presentation, does that help at all with dysphoria?
With Gage specifically as a character that represents me, yes, very much so. He
Mm-hmm.
very much helps with like, and even on top of like the figure himself, it's trying to find good words. I feel like the way like my voice sounds is kind of understandable coming out of like a cat, because
Mm-hmm.
cats don't really have like deep booming voices, all that fun stuff. Cats are, meow,
Mm-hmm.
meow. They
Even
have,
even male cats have higher voices than female humans.
yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
So
You
it
know, I
makes,
never
yeah.
thought about like a cat fursona or persona as persona. Get it? Did a pun. Um
Purr.
I never thought of a cat persona as a way to alleviate vocal dysphoria. That's fascinating.
Oh yeah, and of course with the whole like calico thing, most calicos are like AFABs, I guess.
Yeah, they are. You're right. You're right about that.
Yeah, so the whole kind
Neferkitty is
of,
AFAB.
yeah. It's kind of funny speaking of like the of an anthro cat like that. But yeah, so being like transmasculine does kind of did later translate into the design pretty well.
Hmm. So, and Gage, even on this this character sheet of Gage, it says trans mask and he him
Yep,
pronouns.
yep.
So one of the things that I think is really interesting about this is is it a hole that you added in the tail or are those knobs that are sticking out?
Tho those are knobs. I've
Gotcha.
realized later on that that color was very I chose for that kind of background was very close to that color.
Uh-huh. Yeah. But when we see the back view, we can see that it's knobs and not a hole. That's cool.
Yep.
Anklyo
Thank you.
knobs.
The knobs.
That's so good. Um,
Eh,
so have you designed any other trans characters?
I have I don't think I sent you them though. Well, I have Taylor Parker, who I don't really have a good design for right now,
Mm-hmm.
but he is a anthropomorphic possum who is kind of more so based on me, but also he's me, but kind of a parody of myself rather than like the whole like what I wish I was, what Gage is.
Mm-hmm.
He's kind of a persona in a kind of the opposite direction. The
Mm-hmm.
kind of like Gage is generally me, but more extroverted, friendly, comfortable with himself, kind of thing. While
Mm-hmm.
Taylor is more kind of me looking at myself and kind of like it's funny to me that oh trying to find the right words. Kind of like I was made fun of a lot growing up for smelling bad, basically. So I thought it would be kind of, you know what? I'm gonna own that. I'm gonna make this version of myself like a creature that lives in trash.
Mm-hmm.
He's a bit messier, a bit more introverted. He's closer to what I am, but also kind of not in the same way.
Hmm.
Kind of hard to find the specific words, especially for Taylor, who was definitely more like visually meant to look like me and more like me in personality compared to Gage, but yeah.
So in one of my this is my attempt to see if I have some words to offer to help you find the words. In one of my spiritual practices, we talk about versions of the self. Um,
Ah,
and so there's particularly using Iron Pentacle, um, there is the gilded version of yourself, which is like super shiny, super like everything looks really perfect and whatever. And then there's iron, which is sort of the moderate, centered, grounded version. And then there's like the the rusted version of the self, which is more insecure or just less in all the ways,
right.
like less popular, less good at being social, less good at words, all of that. And so
Yeah,
I wonder if like there's you, right? Awesome chips.
right.
And
Yep.
then like maybe Gage is the gilded version of you and this
Yeah,
possum character is like the rusted version of you. And so they're all like aspects of you, right? And the way that you see
right.
yourself, but
Yeah.
they're like the versions that are pumped up or sort of deflated instead of just
Yeah.
like right sized, exactly you, chips who you are.
That definitely makes a lot of sense, kind of. That is kind of where these characters are in my head.
That's cool. It's cool that you've spent enough time thinking about it that you have sort of idealized and deflated versions just to have as for information about yourself.
Yeah.
It's really reflective and sort of it's like a visual diary almost or something.
Oh,
There's some
definitely.
level of introspection that's shown there. I love that.
E.
Um well, let's see. I feel like we've talked a lot about how characters are an expression of yourself, so I'll move that question for us. Um how about this question? How has working on certain characters helped you discover aspects of your identity?
Very true. Very good question. My first, one of the characters I made around when my egg cracked was, uh, Junichiro, who was originally a character I made for a role play between me and a friend of basically putting ourselves into My Hero Academia. That one, yes, that character. He is a cat, but also a person. Yeah, because he's got the whole the quirk thing. Apologies, My Hero Academia knowledge is kind of I haven't had that in my headspace for a while. Ah,
Can you describe
but yeah.
Junichiro for folks who are listening to the podcast later?
Oh yes, he is based on a gray tabby with yellow eyes, but he is a person with pale skin, gray hair, gray striped hair specifically. Kind of more so meant to be it's a tabby, but also having he's a cat boy. That's putting that in
Nice.
simple terms. And
You
in
know,
this original sheet here, he's got his My Hero Academia kind of like the school clothes and then the hero costume.
yeah, and the hero costume we also see in the next image that you shared with us to share on stream here. And all
Oh
of these
yeah,
images are copyright Awesome Chips.
yeah. This is my most recent drawing of Junichiro, and like the previous sheet, Melissa specifically is taken from the cover I'm using for the new comic I'm working on called Curiosity and the Copycat, based on this character here. But yeah, originally he was made for putting myself into a role play of My Hero Academia, but he kind of later became something that fit more into the world because My Hero Academia, the main focus of the story is in like modern Japan, but also with superheroes. So
Nice.
eventually, I ended up looking through sites like G-Show to find good Japanese names, and I ended up liking Junichiro Nakono, which is
Mm-hmm.
what I ended up deciding on for him.
Nice.
And for this recent redesign, I'm still working on the kind of casual clothes, but this was what I decided for the cover, very kind of sweater with kind of a more business kind of collar underneath, and the hat to cover his ears, and his tail is tucked into his sweater somewhere during
Mm-hmm.
the day. But while he is the copycat hero Sona, I suppose,
Mm-hmm.
he has his whole like setup with it's part like specialized suit, kind of like an Iron Man suit. It's kind of like the helmet can kind of like fold up and kind of show his face if need be, and also kind of like it's glowy and mechanical in a very science fiction kind of way.
Yeah, that's really cool.
E.
I love it.
Iron Man, if you will.
Oh my
Thank you.
glob. That's such a good pun from Girly Red Red in the chat.
Yes, very fantastic. I had to read that out loud. All the puns.
Incredible.
Yes,
Um, Oh, this is so fun. Well, so we still have at least three more characters that we wanted to share with
very
with
true.
the folks here. I have a handful of more questions, and this is the moment that we set aside to do our bio break check in. So how are you? How are you feeling? Do you want to take a bio break or do you want to keep going?
I'm feeling pretty good actually.
Okay, cool.
E.
Samesies.
E.
Um,
Alrighty.
so let's see. Your next characters, were they made on stream?
The next one was not originally,
Okay.
but the one after. Yeah, I didn't draw Tryon on stream. The one, yeah, Cry was on stream partly. Yes, this
Tell us a
one.
bit about Cry. How did you come up with Cry?
Cry was I was making a last minute kind of character for friends tabletop RPG campaign because I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to join or not.
Mm-hmm.
So I worked with the DM kind of last minute after she invited me to work on a character. We originally were going to do like a warlock Aarakocra, but we ended up changing that to wizard because we couldn't decide on a patron. So
Mm-hmm.
he is a Aarakocra wizard. He
So
fits in kind of the. Oh, sorry.
I was just gonna say, for those who don't know what an Aarakocra is, it's a Dungeons and Dragons race that is anthropomorphized bird people, which is different from a
Yes.
Kenku, which their speech patterns they can only mimic what others say, but an Aarakocra can has full language facilities and all of that, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So here we have um Cry, and we're seeing two sides. One is Cry with some a
That's a
squiggly.
sensor for the. I wasn't sure if people would mind seeing the like. They're cartoony, but I did draw scarring on his back to showcase that he's missing his wings.
Mm-hmm. So he does have these feathery hands, um
Yep.
and uh some sort of key hanging off of his neck. That's interesting. I wonder what the key is for. And these
Oh,
like
that's
flowing
for.
robes, which is so fun.
Oh yeah. This is the key is for basically. He is essentially kind of a runaway from home. he was from originally a noble family, but this family was not good.
Mm-hmm.
This family, his mother specifically worked a lot with the capturing people and essentially enslaving them. I'm not sure if that's like okay to use. I don't know, but
So,
yeah, his mother was not a good person.
uh-huh. Yeah, sounds like. We do have a question in the chat.
Oh,
Has creating a character ever resulted in a sudden moment of clarity, a realization of some greater truth about yourself?
oh. Good question. Good question. I feel like usually when that happens, it's when after I make a realization, I either make a new character or because I usually like depending on the character, it's very much like the emotion comes first and then I encapsulate it into a character.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
think the closest thing to that specifically is in kind of the way I used to roleplay with Junichiro earlier,
Mm-hmm.
who was very kind of he was masculine presenting, but his hobbies weren't like the most typically masculine thing because at that point it was very like in those early kind of egg hatching days, I not all of my friends were super like good with kind of gender and understanding the difference between gender and gender presentation.
Yeah, totally.
So, Junichiro originally was kind of my escape to kind of exploring aspects of myself, like being interested in things like, liking other men. Like my bisexuality and kind of how that kind of intersects with like presentation and kind of how my presentation has changed and how that's affected like the way people view my sexuality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Another thing with Junichiro is hmm, he's not super assertive in a, typically masculine fashion. He's very kind of he loves talking to people, but if you like tell him like no, he will fold immediately.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
He's more like submissive in kind of that kind of way, the way I kind of feel like I am sometimes. So a lot of
I see
Junichiro
power
was
2 out of 5, but then
oh
speed is 4 out of 5.
yeah, that was his the original stats we had for him because of the way My Hero Academia works is that each character has their own sheet where it explains their abilities and then how those abilities relate to other characters with powers and they have this kind of numbered system.
Mm-hmm.
Power is like the physical kind of how hard you can hit something, while speed is very like how fast you are, how nimble you are, and being a cat person, he has some pretty good reflexes and can run fairly fast.
Yeah. He can get the zoomies. I also like
You
how
can get
it's
the zoom.
cooperation 5 out of 5, and the legs are food and dangerous men.
Yeah, with dangerous men, yeah, that was very much my early kind of like, I'm a man who likes other men. This is an interesting experience.
So fun.
Strengths and dex in D&D terms, basically. Though speed is more like general movement speed, but we also kind of applied that to kind of a dexterity kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Oh, this is so fun talking about all these characters.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's see. Another question that the community is asking is, what programs do you use to create? Is all of your art digital?
Oh, Very recently, almost all of my art has been digital. Sometimes if I'm struggling making a sketch digitally, I will draw just with pencil and like notebook paper.
Mm-hmm.
But for the digital artwork, the program I use is called Clip Studio Paint. I highly recommend picking it up. It's one of the few really good, you only have to pay it once programs, and Clip Studio is very good for like it's basically Photoshop, but better for drawing in every way, and you only
Mm-hmm.
have to pay for it once.
Yeah.
Yep, Clip Studio Paint.
Awesome. And so did you make Cry with Clip Studio Paint?
Oh, yeah, almost all of the digital art, that has been shown has been, Clip Studio Paint.
That's rad. Love
Yep.
that.
I
Um,
believe the early Genichiro one and the first two, for Gauge were different. The first two for Gauge was a program on my phone that I don't think exists anymore.
mm-hmm.
And Genichiro was probably done on Photoshop, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
But
That,
yeah, almost all of the art I do now is Clip Studio Paint.
that's very cool. So what about Tryon?
Oh, Tryon Thunderheart. He was originally more of a joke character I made for a one shot. He was basically kind of like the He-Man, the Thundercats. Well, what's that guy called? Lion-O? He's that kind of vibe, that kind of
Mm-hmm.
like 80s kind of strong man, kind of I shout my name like this. I have the power. Thundercats, Thundercats. Yeah, he's very kind of jokey in that kind of way, but the more I've used him for one shots, the more I've realized this is the kind of character I have a lot of fun playing. He's very kind of fun, very I don't feel super like the thing that I did with Cry is that he's very intelligent. He's usually he's intelligent, charismatic. He's very good with people. While on the other hand, Tryon here is he is in his own way charismatic, but only like sufficiently enough so to be a gladiator. His
Mm-hmm.
he views his like performances in like the ring as this kind of like, a performance. It's how he acts. It's very kind of yeah, very campy fun.
Yeah, he's got big himbo energy.
Oh, definitely. Very big himbo energy. He's very fun.
So fun.
Very
So
Scooby Doo.
so
Yeah.
so was he designed for like a tabletop role playing game, or
Oh
what
yes,
did
he
you
was
design the character for?
designed for he was designed for a tabletop role playing game. I believe mostly me and my friends play versions of Dungeons and Dragons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm curious um how streaming has influenced your character design. I know that the other day I popped into your stream and you were actively designing a character that I
Oh
think you were
yeah.
planning on using for a tabletop game. And I also think um, I've heard you talk about sort of getting lost in the process of designing a character, and I wonder if you could kind of describe what that's like and what it's like to share that with people on Twitch or wherever you're streaming.
He uh we want to show off a hero here, the character I was working on. Especially
Yay.
when you're not making a character that's you kind of like the dots that connect a character kind of come more loosely. You kind of have to figure out like, okay, what motivates this character? How does this character think? What do they do in certain situations? Where are they from? All that fun stuff. Hero specifically was originally an orphan in his the Solar Main kind of pride area
Hmm.
where he lived, where the other Leonid live, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Uh, Due to how their structure works, the uh, if you don't have a like traditional parent, you are less likely to be fed, or if you are fed scraps.
Hmm.
With the hero, he found a way to basically find his own food and make it for himself. Hence, why he later became a chef.
Right. Yeah. Totally.
Eventually, he was lost and picked up by an aristocrat who originally thought he would be more of a pet, but once he kind of realized that, oh, this is a child, sentient child, oh, and kind of saw his interest in cooking and all that kind of fun stuff, he was like, oh, I'm going to send you to school to do this kind of thing. And
Bad.
so, yeah, he eventually found himself in like a guild of like bard chefs that are a college of sword bards. We've kind of decided that's kind of where he's learned how to not only cut cut things with knives. Specifically, he uses his salt and pepper scimitars.
That's so funny that they're named Salt and Pepper.
Yeah, they also have a one's lighter in color, one's darker, and they have a
That's so clever.
S and P labels on them.
Yeah, they do. I once had
There's
a f-
salt
I
and
once
oh, sorry.
I once had a friend with two daggers named Hopes and Prayers,
That's
or
amazing.
Thoughts and Prayers.
Thoughts and prayers.
And they'd throw the daggers and say, "I'm sending you thoughts and prayers."
Oh, I love that.
So I love cleverly named weapons in character design. It's so fun.
Definitely. They're a lot of fun. And with Saltina and Pepperina, I kind of also thought about calling them that kind of thing too.
Oh,
But
nice.
with those, yeah. With the weapons, I kind of thought it'd be kind of fun that like, oh, scimitars have kind of this tiny, strangely shaped handle with like a knob at the end. What if they were salt and pepper shakers at the end?
Mm-hmm. Totally. It's so
Yeah,
funny.
so they double as something that can cut ingredients and season them. Haha.
Perfect. Amazing.
Yes.
So one thing I noticed that's different between Euro and a lot of your previous character designs is Euro has a bit of a gut on him.
Oh
He's
yeah,
got a belly, possibly because he's a chef. But I love that there's some body positivity on display here with
definitely.
his lovely gut.
I've been definitely more kind of wanting to do more of that kind of thing.
Hmm.
The one thing with me, I've either like drawn a version of myself, which is kind of I'm very lanky,
Hmm.
very lanky, kind of thin-ish body kind of thing,
Yeah.
or the kind of muscular kind of strong man. And I haven't I've been meaning to make characters that have different body shapes, but with the way I present myself, it's sometimes harder for me to do that. But yeah.
Well, I think you've done a really lovely job here.
Also, I like Red's pun there, a salt and pepper something. Ha ha ha.
Yes, indeed.
Thank you.
So I'm curious. Is there anything we haven't talked about yet that has also influenced your work in character design?
Oh, well, a lot of like the shows I've watched. The
Totally.
shows, yeah, definitely. I try to read some, but I'm definitely lacking in that department. That's more Saf's thing.
Hmm. Who's Saf? For those who don't know.
Oh, yes. Sapphire Angel Bunny is my stream partner. We stream together. She will uh we do a thing where she'll draw and stream that to Discord. I'll put that up on my screen. While I draw, you can kind of watch us both drawing kind of thing.
That's so fun.
But yes.
Yeah, it's super fun. I've gotten to
Yep.
catch a couple of those streams, and it's always nice to see. And the two of you have such nice rapport with one another.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of shows influence your work, and then you have Sapphire Angel Bunny who does drawing. Do you ever do collaborative works?
Oh, there is one we're working on, though I have been kind of struggling on my end. Our original idea was to draw, she would draw Hanzo and Brigitte from Overwatch, but they're kind of more like drawn like Pokemon trainers.
Mm-hmm.
And my part of the collaboration was to draw the Pokemon.
Yeah.
The thing with that is I have to draw like two Gyarados encircling each other somewhere, and that design is kind of like
It sounds
I've had a
complicated.
hard time. Yeah, I've had a hard time wrapping my brain around it. So I've thought
Yeah.
about working around with other ideas, like instead of Gyarados, maybe I draw a Decidueye, which is since Hanzo is an archer, Decidueye is also an archer. It makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Haha.
Yeah. The Decidueye is also a very cool Pokemon,
Oh, definitely.
just in general.
I like a lot of the Gen 7 starters. They're all very cool in their own way.
We knew that
Hey, Seth!
we
Sorry.
knew we would get off on a Pokemon tangent at some point.
Oh,
So
definitely.
since it's seasonally on topic with current events, what do you think of the new Pokemon Legends Arceus game that just came out? Because I just got it in the mail 1 hour before the show started, so I haven't played it yet. But
I love it.
yeah,
Oh, gosh.
are you
They
having
do
so much
so
fun?
much, definitely. There have been some rough patches with the, like, some aspects are the old school, like, turn-based stuff,
Yeah,
but with some new additions. And then there's more, non-turn-based action stuff, which I know a lot of people like. I've struggled a little bit with it with some boss fights, but, like, other than that, it's entirely the Pokemon game I've always wanted. Oh,
yeah.
it's
So
very, like,
go ahead.
Pokemon meets Monster Hunter.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
So Mirror Me in the chat is saying I'm more excited for Arceus than I realized this is basically Breath of the Wild and Pokemon, which is
Oh,
literally a
definitely.
thing I was thinking I wanted while I played Breath of the Wild. Pokemon and Breath of the
Definitely.
Wild.
It's
Well,
definitely that vibe as well.
that's so cool. Breath of the Wild is like my favorite video game. Like
E.
period, full stop. That's it. That's the one. I've probably put over
One thing,
600 hours in it. 100%ed it
E.
more than once. It's so fun. I love it. Oh my gosh.
That is super cool. One thing I will tell you though, the areas are more segmented than they are in Breath of the Wild.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
you'll have to load into certain areas. Still cool. It's just letting you know that.
Cool. Yeah. I'm excited to get to try that finally on stream on Wednesday.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
saving it.
It
I'm
is an
saving it
absolute
for stream
blast.
and it's like what I want to play right now.
Mm. Uh
So awesome.
I
Um
can't wait to get my stuff so I can stream that as well at some point.
yeah. Oh, so exciting.
E.
So another question for you. What character design surprises you the most? Of all the characters you've made, which one's design was the most surprising to you?
Oh, currently it's Gage and kind of how long I've kept him for such a like strange design, you know?
It's a unique
But
design. I've never seen someone
yeah.
combine a dinosaur with a cat.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if
And
that's
like
common, but it's
I
pretty
haven't
cool.
seen a whole lot of that. It's usually like cat and dragon if they combine like cat with like a reptile.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so cool. And Gage's color scheme is very non-binary,
Oh, definitely.
which I
Like
love.
the main body is very like purple, white, the black nose and kind of yellow. Definitely very like non-binary flag colors. I could definitely make like a non-binary flag, but just color picked off Gauge.
So fun. So, along the lines of what surprised you the most, what character are you the proudest of?
Ah, specifically, I do love this version of Gauge a lot.
Hmm.
However, that's gotta be the hero suit for Junichiro, the copycat suit.
Yeah.
It's so cool. I don't have the like really cool version I made on me, but even then this image in the cover for Curiosity and the Copycat is still very cool, and I still feel very kind of proud for. Oh, it's definitely the most work I've put into a design and pulled out most of the like most references for and kind of did more studies on like combat armor and how all that kind of works in real life. Kind of looking into some of the Sentai stuff, Sentai and like ninja stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Also, fun fact about the research I did on ninjas, they don't wear black, they wear a shade of blue and indigo, kind of.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So that's kind
It,
of ish what I was going for here with the kind of Sentai ninja kind of look.
that's so cool. I love it.
Also, for those
So,
interested, that QR code will send you to my card.
oh, nice. That's rad. And your card's been plunked in the chat every 5 or 10 minutes or something.
Yep,
And the link is down below over there.
is very cool. Appreciate you doing that, friend.
Totally. So I have about 3 more questions. So I'm just gonna give sort of the verbal last call to the Twitch chat. If you have anything you'd like to ask AwesomeChipz while we have him here, now's the time. Type it in the chat. So my next question is about the future. What are your hopes for the future with character design? Like, is there somewhere you want to go with this? Is this a hobby you really enjoy? Do you ever want to do it for work? Um, do you do commissions and draw things for other people? Like, what does the future look like for you in character design?
I definitely want to do more for other people, ideally for a job, but also like if I'm working for free on a project I really believe in, I honestly think that's okay too. Just
Mm-hmm.
I want to tell stories. I want to represent like characters that you don't see in like popular media because of kind of things having to be samey because of like commercial reasons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you are wanting to increase the diversity of representation
Definitely.
everywhere you can.
But it's definitely my long-term goal for this kind of stuff.
That. We have a question from the chat. Gorilla Red Red asks, "How important is it to you to have a backstory for your RPG characters?"
It depends on the character.
Mm-hmm.
Cry was backstory first, design later. Meanwhile, Tryon was very. I had the design in mind, but then, like, the story, I kind of just, like. I think I literally just made that up on the spot. He's very simple. He
Mm-hmm.
didn't really need a advanced backstory the way Cry or Hero kind of did. And Gage has never really had a backstory. I had an idea a long time ago that he was like. It's basically the Stitch story. He was this failed kind of alien science experiment that was thrown on Earth because he wasn't like what they wanted for this kind of ultimate weapon. Very, very wild. I've since kind of scrapped that idea,
Mm-hmm.
but
I
yeah, that was
mean,
kind of
yeah,
the original idea I
Ankylosaurus
had.
cat combo has big genetic experimentation energy. That's for sure.
Definitely, definitely.
Yeah. Huh. Well, my next question is one that I like to ask every show. Can you share an experience with us about having gender euphoria?
Oh gosh, this is a fun story I tell a lot of people, but oh, the first time was the first. I think it was the second time actually. My grandparents took me to Disney World. I was about, I think 12, 13, 14 ish, around that age.
Mm-hmm.
This is kind of when I was started the whole like dressing more gender non-conformatively after hitting puberty kind of
Mm-hmm.
stuff.
Yeah.
And especially once I cut my hair short, I was read more as masculine because people assume that like younger person with short hair is prepubescent male. I sometimes I still get that to this day as well.
Mm-hmm.
So for the context there, the actual story, I wandered off during this like parade of lights they did over at Disney World, and I just kind of like sat there, kind of watched what was going on, and they have these characters on floats that'll occasionally talk to people in the audience.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember it was this Alice in Wonderland float, and then kind of Alice was kind of looking out for people to kind of talk to, and she saw me and was like, you there in the funny hats!" And like, "Young man, sir," like very like masculine kind of pronouns for me, and I was like, oh, I in that moment I felt so cool and like it felt really nice. And back then I didn't have the words for it. Now I know it's gender euphoria. I loved that she was referring to me as male masculine.
Mm-hmm.
And especially without my, parents or grandparents there to tell them, "Oh, actually," kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Totally.
yeah, she also told me stuff like, "Oh, why do you wear your hat like that?" Because I was wearing my, like, my, what do you call those caps? So, like, like baseball caps.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I was wearing it backwards because I thought that looked cool.
It's very
And,
like tomboy to do that.
definitely, definitely, and
Yeah.
that was makes sense for the gender nonconforming era of my life. And, she told me, "Oh, why don't you try wearing that, upside down on your head?" And I kind of thought it'd be like I was so kind of in the moment, it's like, I just kind of dumbfoundedly just kinda put that on my head, like, it's, like, yellow kinda it's like this little teacup on my head, and she kinda pointed that out, and I thought that was adorable, and oh, it was a very nice moment in my life, a lot of, like I like telling people that story. Uh,
Well, just for you, I went and fetched my baseball hat so I could wear it backwards.
nice. Very cool, friend.
For the lulls.
For the lulz.
All
Very
right.
90s.
It's so 90s. Totally. I don't know how well it goes with my flannel button up shirt, but that's fine.
Honestly, I think it's really cool.
I still have the hair poof. That's the important part, right? The hair
Yes, the
poof
hair
sticking
poof.
out
He even
of
got, like
the back.
yeah, like, the window area.
Mhm.
Amazing.
All right. Well, Chips, I know that you have your stream coming up soon, so I'll ask my last question before we talk about cross promo and all that stuff. What would you like to make sure folks know about your perspective on gender and non binary or trans issues?
As someone who is very masculine, my kind of presentation and idea of kind of what non-binary means to me is still binary leaning, and I still refer to myself as man and all that kind of fun stuff, while also kind of thinking of myself as something else sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
hence, male flux.
Yeah,
Uh, also, like, it's okay to feel however you want to feel with, how you want to present yourself and how that kind of manifests in you. If that is, non-binary but male-leaning, especially like in my case, that's fine. You could also be, you know, a diet female, diet male, or nothing at all. There's a whole galaxy of stuff you could be, and, it's all fine. It's all valid.
totally. I love it. Well, is there
Yeah.
anything else you want to make sure you share, Chips, before we talk about your card?
The gender void. Sorry, I had to read what Mirror Me typed.
No, it's all good.
Is there anything else? Don't quite think so. Beyond that, Hero is specifically made for a stream campaign my friend Olden McGrine is doing, a fellow VTuber.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Is it alright if I give him a shout out below, or
If you type the shout out, it will make a 30-second clip play audio only, and I don't know how to turn it
true?
off right now. It happened earlier on stream, which is why I
Gotcha.
didn't hear you. So,
Understandable.
but we can add it to the show notes so anyone watching this later, and if you want to just type the URL in the chat, since you're a mod, you should be able to
Yeah,
type it in there. Um,
definitely.
so, friends, if you want to learn more about AwesomeChipz, um, here's what you'll see when you open the card link. It's been posted in the chat the whole time. So we've got Chips's Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, Ko-fi. We've got stream VODs on YouTube. Um, Chips's TikTok channel and also Discord server. So there's a lot of ways you can connect with Chips. Are there any other upcoming projects you want to tell us about? So you mentioned this new campaign. What's the Twitch channel? Is it on Twitch?
Yes, the stream campaign that will be on Olden McGroin's Twitch. Let me grab the URL. If I can grab the URL right, apologies.
And that's featuring Euro Solar Main, your latest
Yep,
character.
definitely. There we go. I got the URL to work. But yes, I will be playing Hero Solar Main on that campaign. It'll be a lot of fun. Love to see some of y'all there.
And what time is that show? Has it been
That
scheduled yet?
will. I don't believe it's been. We have the. I believe it'll be 1 p.m. CST on February 14th. Yes, because that's also going to be on what the VTuber community is calling VTuber Prom, which is Valentine's Day.
That's so fun.
Yeah.
And is that a one shot or an ongoing campaign?
It will hopefully be an ongoing campaign. We haven't specifically decided that yet, but we are aiming for it to be a long-term campaign.
Nice. Well, that is super awesome. Friends, if you enjoyed this conversation and you would like to support AwesomeChipz, his Ko-fi is right there in his card.co. So if you want to go drop a couple bucks in the Ko-fi, that's an option. You can go express your material gratitude. And yeah, is there anything else you want to say before we get ready to go raid you on your channel and see what you're up to? Maybe tell us what you're going to be up to today on stream.
For stream, I'm going to be drawing some Pokemon fan art. I don't specifically have a character design in mind to work on right now, but maybe it'll show up at some point. Who knows? And also, thank you for the cowboy hat compliment.
It's very fun.
Yeah,
It's a very fun cowboy
just kind
hat.
of ending out with kind of like, don't be afraid to like make characters for things you like. If that's how you want to express yourself, if it's just a self insert in a fan kind of setting, that's perfectly valid and a perfectly valid way of exploring yourself and different aspects of yourself and your gender and all that fun stuff.
So good. All right, friends. Well, for now, that is the end of the talk show. Thank you so much, AwesomeChipz, for being here.
Thank you for having me.